Genesis 35. Then God said to Jacob, "Get up at once to Bethel and live there. Make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob told his household and all who were with him, "Get rid of the foreign gods you have among you. Purify yourself and change your clothes. Let us go up at once to Bethel. Then I will make an altar there to God, who responded to me in my time of distress and has been with me wherever I went." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods that were in their possessions and the rings that were in their ears. Jacob buried them under the oak near Shechem, and they started out on their journey. The surrounding cities were afraid of God, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. Jacob and all those who were with him arrived at Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. He built an altar there and named the place El Bethel, because their God had revealed himself to him when he was fleeing from his brother. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak below Bethel. Thus it was named Oak of Weeping. God appeared to Jacob again after he returned from Padan Aram and blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but your name will no longer be called Jacob. Israel will be your name." So God named him Israel. Then God said to him, "I am the sovereign God. Be faithful and multiply. A nation, even a company of nations, will descend from you. Kings will be among your descendants. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you. To your descendants I will also give this land." Then God went up from the place where he spoke to him with him. So Jacob set up a sacred stone pillar in the place where God spoke to him. He poured out a drink offering on it, and then he poured oil on it. Jacob named the place where God spoke to him Bethel. They traveled on from Bethel, and when Ephrath was still some distance away, Rachel went into labor, and her labor was hard. When her labor was at its hardest, the midwife said to her, "Don't be afraid, for you have another son." With her dying breath, she named him Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin instead. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. Jacob set up a marker over her grave. It is the marker of Rachel's grave to this day. Then Israel traveled on and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in the land, Reuben went to bed with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Jacob had 12 sons. The sons of Levi were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, as well as Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's servant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. So Jacob came back to his father Isaac in Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had stayed. Isaac lived to be 180 years old. Then Isaac breathed his last and joined his ancestors. He died an old man who had lived a full life. His sons Esau and Jacob buried him. All right, 36. So interesting here, just to tie back to previous section. Tomorrow, welcome in. Esau and Jacob bury Isaac. So even though there is the "I'm not going down to you and visit you," at Dad's funeral, they're there together and they bury Dad together. So they don't make a whole bunch about that, but yeah, there is something there. So does he ever go down later? We just have the immediacy of it. Maybe it does get better, but not seemingly right here that we're looking at. Okay, so backing up. So after the horrible events at Shechem, God says, get up at once and go to Bethel and live there. So he had pitched a tent here in Shechem. He's been invited to live here, and he's right. Jacob's right. He has become a stench here, and God comes and tells him to move. God is going to come and show up. And like I said, I think Jacob is now indecisive about things. Jacob could have done this himself, but God comes in and says, move, go and live there and make an altar to God who appeared to you when you fled to your brother Esau. So remember me, I am your protector. Go to the place where you met me. So he tells the whole household, this is an interesting thing. Get rid of the foreign gods you have among you. Okay. Why were there foreign gods? We know that Rachel steals her Laban, her dad's foreign gods, but some of this could be to take the power away from Dad more than it might be to serve. Also, those foreign gods could have been, ancestors, to connect with the ancestors, to be able to speak with them. So there could be more going on there. But why did Jacob let this happen in his household for there to be foreign gods among them? There's a whole line of thinking that, and based on when Jacob left, and he says, God, if you do all these things, then I will serve you. Then you will be. So up to this point, he has been willing perhaps to not follow and serve God only. So this might be the cleaning of house that says, God has spoken to me again. He has done and delivered everything that he promised. So we are now going to be a one God household. There's that thought in line. I don't know if I fully buy that. I see the logic of how they're getting to that conclusion. But I think, hey, we're going up to God. Those are all things that are impure and contaminated. They cannot handle being in the presence of God. So he is going, because it also goes with purify yourselves and change your clothes. You need to purify before you go into the presence of God. That is a common thing. Things that are not pure in the presence of God are consumed by fire. So if you're bringing things that are impure into the presence of God, he doesn't want you consumed with fire. So yeah, get all of that out of here. We're going to go make an altar to God because he's responded to me in my time of distress, which was when he was fleeing his brother. And now that's been restored. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods that were in their possession and the rings that were in their ears. Okay, in their hand and the rings that were in their ears. On the basis of comparison with Genesis 34 and Numbers 31, Weham argues that the foreign gods and the rings could have been part of the plunder that came from the destruction of Shechem. Oh, that's a good argument. So we're getting rid of the foreign gods. You just took plunder. Whereas if the rings were in their ears of idols, then getting rid of the idols while not keeping the rings, even the monetary value, emphasize the extent of putting away the foreign gods and purifying yourself. Has suggested that the earrings in the idols were related to the gods hearing prayers, while earrings in the people symbolized obedience. Oh. If so, given the earrings further symbolizing the breaking of relationship with these false gods, or the rings that were in their ears of the idols, the third person plural suffix, could refer to the members of Jacob's household or the gods which they possessed. Most exegetes understand the reference to the people who lost an earring. Yeah, argues that the earrings were in the ears of the idols. Yes. So you might have an earring in the ear of the idol so that the ear of the idol is open to hear your prayers. But I had not considered that they had just plundered Shechem. That could have been where they got all these foreign gods, these idols from, and the plunder of the earrings could be connected to the idol worship or the plunder, and so we're putting it all away because that gold that you just plundered is tainted. It's impure because of your motives and what you did and the way you did it with deception. So we are going to do and get rid of all of it. So as they journey, they put it under an oak tree near Shechem, and then they started on their journey. The surrounding cities were afraid of God, and they did not pursue. So they're afraid. So I know it doesn't say that in the previous thing, that the boys think that, hey, everyone's going to be afraid of us. They tend to be, and they don't pursue them. Like, hey, they're leaving. We're afraid of what they might do. God is on their side. We don't want anything to do with it. So they get to Luz, which is Bethel. He builds an altar, and he names the place El Bethel. The name El Bethel means God of Bethel, so it would be God of the house of God. That would be how, because Bethel means house of God. So interesting thought here too. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under an oak below Bethel. Thus it was named Oak of Weeping. So Rebekah's nurse dies. We don't have that Rebekah is pregnant, but we have her nurse dies here. So it's going to be a sudden thing that happens. Then God appears to Jacob again after he returned from Padan Aram. I haven't been keeping track of how many times God has appeared to him, but he appeared to him on his way to Padan Aram. We have him appearing to say, you need to leave. We have him appearing when he sees the two camps, depending on how you want to do that, with the wrestling with God. We have him appearing just before to tell him to come here, and we have him appearing here. So, that's at least 5 times by my count. So your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel will be your name. We had your name is going to be changed earlier. Now God is changing the name. I am the sovereign God. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation will come from you. Is he telling him to be fruitful and multiply because Jacob needs to have more kids? I mean, he has 12. Does that mean Jacob needs to have more kids? Is that what the command to be fruitful and multiply is? No. He already is in process of doing this. This is a blessing upon him to be received. So just because a statement is said doesn't mean that you're not doing it or that you now need to go and do it. The same way that it's be strong and courageous is said isn't because Joshua isn't being strong and courageous. It is a blessing upon him when he hears it. It is a blessing upon the people when they hear it. Here, be fruitful and multiply was the command that was given over all of creation. When it was created, it was given to Abraham. It is now given to Jacob, Israel, and so is going to be lived out. That's part of it. And this is how this blessing is going to be lived out. You'll be a nation. You'll be a company of nations. The kings will come from you. You're going to have the land of Abraham and Isaac. I will give to your descendants. I will give you this land. Then when God went up from the place where he spoke with Jacob, so Jacob set up a sacred stone pillar in the place where God spoke. He poured out a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. This is a common practice that we don't necessarily see continue, but Jacob does it. He sets up a stone, he pours out an offering, a wine offering upon it, and then he pours oil on it. So he is pouring out the fruit of the land upon it, and then he is pouring out the oil. So we have the things that are blessing. The wine and the oil are things of blessing from the land, and we're offering them to God. This is not a blood sacrifice. Okay, it is a fruit of the vine sacrifice. It is an abundance of harvest and sacrifice that he is giving here. Not that God needs it, but this is a way to give honor and glory and praise to God. So then it says, where God spoke to him, he called it Bethel. So he calls it El Bethel, and he calls it Bethel. Travels on from Bethel to Ephrath, which is some distance away. How long this is, don't know, but he was told to go to Bethel. Why is he moving? Didn't God just say go to Bethel and stay there? But he is on his way to Ephrath, some distance away. Rachel goes into labor. The labor is hard. The midwife says, don't be afraid. It's a son. So with her dying breath, she names him Ben-Oni. What does the footnote say? Ben-Oni means son of my suffering. It is ironic that Rachel's words to Jacob in Genesis 31, give me a child or I'll die, take a different turn, for it was having the child that brought about her death. We also have that Jacob said, whoever has your idols to Laban, they should be killed. Here it takes place and happens, not immediately, but consequentially. Is he putting a curse on her when he declares, whoever has taken your idols should be killed? We now have the idols, and I don't know if she kept it to this day or it was gotten rid of at some point, but the idols were all gotten rid of at Bethel. He doesn't stay at Bethel. Maybe it's a place that you just go to interact with God in his mind, and then you move on from there. But he has moved on, and now we already had that her nurse had died. Now there's a midwife who is here, so the midwife is different than the nurse, I guess. I don't know enough about ancient culture to know the difference between what they would consider a nurse and a midwife. So she names him son of my suffering, the suffering of what I've had to deal with my sister, the suffering of not having children, the suffering of the labor. Like it is undefined but wide sweeping that she has a lot of suffering. And instead, he names him Benjamin. There was a preference of giving children good or positive names in the ancient world. Son of my suffering would not do, because it would be a reminder of the death of Rachel. Yeah, so he doesn't want to say son of my suffering and remember her suffering. So Jacob named him Benjamin, which means son of the right hand or my right hand. I would say son of my right hand. The name Benjamin appears in the Mari text. There have been attempts to correct the name to the resident tribe listed in Mari, son of the south, since the term right hand can also mean south in Hebrew. But this assumes a different reading of the story, the birth of Benjamin. Okay. So he renames the child. Instead, he doesn't honor his wife's wishes, but he also doesn't want to be reminded every time he calls his son's name that his wife suffered and died in labor. So he doesn't. It's son of my right hand. And then Rachel just gets a grave along the way as they're traveling. There's a stone that's there. She's buried. Then Israel travels on to Migdal Eder. While Israel was living in the land, Reuben, okay, we just have this tiny little thing here. What is Reuben doing? Reuben is trying to claim authority. This is one of the things that happens with kings. One of the way that you take authority over someone else is to sleep with their wives. So these are it's going to be the concubine. It's not his mom. But here's how he's going to assert his authority in the household. He is trying to claim himself to be the head of household. Why? Probably because he saw his dad was ineffective and inactive and didn't take action when his sister was violated. And now that his dad is going to be mourning for Rachel, he's going to be even less effective. So he's trying to usurp his father's authority by going to bed with his father's concubine. So this is also going to be, it doesn't last, it doesn't work, it is a shame on the family. And again, we have very similar things happen later on with David and his sons. Yes, he threw away his birthright, exactly. He is trying to usurp his father and take the birthright. Instead, he forfeits his birthright. So, and then we have all the sons listed. I'm not going to go through all of them. We're getting a genealogy listed, which we know. So Jacob came back to his father Isaac at Mamre. So now he's going to visit his father. So he saw his brother. Now he's going to his father. He stays there. We have that dad is 180 years old when he dies. And his brother Esau is going to get word of it. They're going to bury him together. Traditionally, rendered to sojourn refers to temporary shelters without ownership rights. Oh, he stayed in the land. He sojourned in the land. Okay. The days of Isaac were 180 years. So there we have the conclusion of Isaac. And then we're going to get another genealogy coming in the next chapter. I think I want to do that genealogy and mark that. So when we come back, we'll be doing another genealogy.